All right, my name is Max Amordeluso, and I am part of the Alexa Skills Kit organization out of Luxembourg. And I have the privilege of working with Alexa and Alexa-enabled devices and with the developers around the world, especially in Europe, but around the world, that want to create new experiences on the Alexa voice service. Now, first of all, I wanted to thank Rafal, whom I've already lost somewhere. I'm super excited to be here. I was supposed to be here last year. I couldn't make it, so this year I'm very, very happy. I'm going to speak about what Alexa voice service is, but especially of what's in it for you. So if you're a developer, why should you consider this? So let's step back in time with this very visually appealing technology here that we do have. We sort of started as human beings with voice. So there is a little bit of discording opinion on when actually human beings started communicating with voice. Some folks say 100,000 years ago, some other people a million years ago, but regardless, voice is generally accepted as the way that we started communicating naturally. And with that, if you think about it, the way that we started integrating or communicating with technology, as you see here, is a little bit backwards. We started using touch, we started using vision, but we didn't really go into what was primitively in our reach, what we use naturally. So is that really the way that we should have done it? We don't know, but we have a chance now to do it right, in a way that is more natural. So we engage to each other using voice. I am actually speaking with you if you think about it. We're not communicating gesturally. Well, I'm Italian, so I communicate gesturally as well. But the point is that I'm telling you stories. I'm giving you information via voice and visual as well. So let me clarify right away a point. I'm not saying throughout this presentation, and perhaps even the other esteemed presenters today, that voice should completely overlap any other medium. It's not the case. We're saying that basically these two things are complementary to get to a more richer, more natural interaction with machine. If you think about it, what is more immediate than voice? What is more personal than voice? Even fingerprints can be faked. Voice is harder. There is a number of very deep characteristics, very deeply ingrained in the way that we do speak. Now, thinking in terms of the way that we've been interacting with machines, people that have been around the block, like myself, a number of years, remember the way that we interacted in characters with actual text with machine. Some folks might remember DOS. Then we moved, fortunately, into a more natural, into a more visually appealing that actually opened up to the masses communication, interactions, graphical user interface with machines. Then the web came, and then the web became popular when it was opened up and had a visual response, had something that was immediately understandable. Now we are exiting, in my opinion, the phase or the era of mobile phones or mobile devices. But we all lived through that, the enormous and rapid diffusion and distribution of mobile devices. We are now, we believe, in the voice interface phase. So we do interact in a way with machines that is possible today due to the enormous advancement that we had in the few years in voice recognition, in artificial intelligence, in machine learning. You've seen Ruhi before that explained to you some of the intricacies, and hopefully you got to appreciate the enormity of the challenges that this problem represents. It's beautifully challenging a problem to solve. And one thing that is important here to notice, this is not just an academic set of information that you need to remember. Each one of these steps that is a game-changing in the way that human beings interact with machines is a set of opportunities. Do you remember every single one of these steps have had enormously large, enormously popular brands that were born, they exploited a specific phase. In the voice interface phasing that we are right now, there are similarly good and great and egregiously open opportunities to all of you, to all of us to interact even further and to develop and to exploit these opportunities. Now, let's go back a little bit into the mobile moment. A mobile moment defined here is that basically, hopefully, I'm right when I say that it's a moment that we're all extremely familiar with. So a mobile moment is the equivalent of being able to ask your friend something on the spot. We're listening to radio, we're looking at a TV show. Something was said too quickly, we didn't catch it, or your kid said something, or there was something that distracted you. You pull up your phone and you look that up. We all do that. So that's a mobile moment. That's a need. That's an immediacy need that we can fulfill without having to ask anybody else. We can fulfill on our own. It's an important model to think, even in terms of what voice can do for us, finding something in the immediate context. And this is exactly what we're doing, all of us. It's a very clear-cut use case. And now, with voice, we have a way of doing this in our houses, in our cars. Not necessarily when you're on the tube, but we don't necessarily want to use voice everywhere. So let's clarify that point as well. Voice is something that we use when we feel comfortable. In our house, we use voice. In our cars, we use voice. We sing, we speak, we are upset with something. Maybe it happens to you. We're upset with other people, but we use voice when we're comfortable. So that comfort component is something that we can leverage to provide that information contextually natural in the context of the immediate. Now, I'll give you a second just to read the thesis. So this is a quote from Kathy Pearl, and she's a very famous author in the voice movement, let's say, and she takes the point even further, I would say. The point that I'm making here is the natural, the need, the immediacy, but she takes a point further beautifully, I have to say, in the way that we can act less like computers and more like people, even with computers. That is a very important point. And that goes back to the naturality, to the natural element of voice. Now, let's talk about what are we doing at Amazon with voice and how we are externalizing this vision that we had. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the vision later on. But let's see, we have here an exploded view of one of the Echo device. And it's very important to make a first distinction. Some of you may be aware, some of you may not, but the most important distinction you have to do is between Alexa, which is the voice service, and Echo, which is the family of devices. I have two devices here. So this one is the Echo Spot that was... Sorry about that. So this is the Echo Spot that was released this week in the US. This other one is an Echo Tap. This comes from my car. This is what I use to remain connected with Alexa, with just a Wi-Fi router in my car. The point is that, again, Alexa is the voice service. Echo is the family of devices that externalize and make available. Not only Amazon devices can have Alexa. Well, I'll tell you more later on when I speak about AVS. But again, very important point, Alexa and Echo, two distinct things. Now here, why am I showing you this? Because Echo is a device that responds to human beings even from far. We have a technology called far field recognition that basically leverages an array of 7 microphones on this specific device. 7 microphones that are placed on top, 6 around and 1 on the center. And they basically create a very cool thing called a cone of sound. They pinpoint and they zero in on where the user is actually speaking from. They mute all the others and they focus this noise, this intent to actually capture what the user is saying. It's a pretty cool technology. And an Echo is basically 3 things. It's a big speakerphone, depending on the model, more or less high fidelity, for example. It has a microphone, as I mentioned, an array of microphone, and a connection. These are the main components of an Echo device. Now, this slide was different at the beginning of the week. Some of you may know we have released a number of new devices during an event in Seattle this week. There is a number of devices, so the Echo family of devices truly enlarged with some new interesting commerce. Again, this is the Echo Spot that was released this week. And it was announced this week, actually, I should say. There is other things that you can see here. You see the wooden one is the Echo, is the new version of the Echo. The three on the top, on the bottom left, your left, are the new Echo, the Echo Plus, which contain also a hub inside for connecting directly into with smart home devices. Very, very powerful use case there as well. Now we have other things, things like the Connect, and the Show obviously is the big one with the big screen. But the point is that Amazon is continually innovating on this. We are very vested, we are very invested into Alexa, into voice. And we disclosed that this week that we have more than 5,000 people overall in the world working on the core functionalities. So there is a lot of people working solving this challenge. Now, I want to share with you a little video, hopefully you haven't seen this one yet, that will
Alexa, alarm off. Alexa, what's on the calendar today?
You have 12 events scheduled.
Alexa, call me an Uber.
Your Uber will arrive in 2 minutes.
Alexa, what's the weather like today?
There's a 100% chance of showers.
Alexa, pair my Bluetooth speaker.
Okay, paired.
Alexa, it's time to reorder some paper towels.
Okay, order placed.
And Alexa, play my garage music.
Playing your garage playlist from Prime Music.
Alexa, play some jazz.
Playing smooth jazz from Prime Music.
Alexa, who's this?
This is Picnic Basket by Lullatone.
Alexa, turn that up.
Alexa, ask Domino's to send me my last order.
Okay, order placed.
Hey, isn't that Jason Schwartzman?
No, that's not him. I would know if that was him.
I'm pretty sure it's him.
Okay, Alexa, who stars in Mozart in the Jungle?
Stars include Malcolm McDowell, Jason Schwartzman.
Ah, see? That was right.
Alexa, change the bedroom temperature to 65 degrees.
Okay,
Alexa, lights off.
okay.
Alexa, good night.
Good night. Sleep tight.
All right, so I showed you this video for two reasons. One, I wanted those of you that are not familiar with Alexa and Echoes just to see what this means. So just to see the concept that what we're doing with these devices, what we're giving users with these devices. And the second point, that your experiences, whatever you design, whatever you create, Alexa, has no reason not to be on this video, meaning that everything you will create and will get certified and will get live as a skill will be able to run on any Alexa-enabled devices in the world, meaning that both the one made by Amazon's and the one that any of the AVS partners are currently putting on the market. So this is tens of millions of endpoints globally. So the opportunity is huge. Now, we have seen a huge amount of love, actually, I'm not using this word lightly, love from customers. Does anybody know what this number actually represents? Anybody want to take a guess? Number of skills? Well, we're not there yet, but it's something a little lighter. So these are marriage proposals. I kid you not. So these are marriage proposals that we gathered from users' feedback on Alexa. So these are users actually asking Alexa if you want to marry me, which I found it hysterical. So just to just remaining on the topic here, is that this guy's, I'm not saying that by showing this picture, I condone necessarily what this guy is saying, but if I knew relationships were this easy, I would have married 30 years ago, but now that I have Alexa, there is no need. So, I mean, this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but you get the point here. There is a huge customer engagement, and press, for example, is not following that short, because there is a very enthusiastic reviews on this. This is validating basically our vision. But why did we start doing this? And now I have another short videos, which hopefully you will find as interesting as I do. Sound, please.
Please.
Computer? Computer? Hello, computer.
Just use the keyboard.
The keyboard. How quaint.
Please.
All right, so I wanted to show you this because this reinforced the points basically that that the voice is a lot more natural. And the vision, what was the vision? Why are we doing this? We're working backwards from this vision of providing the Star Trek computers in people's house. So the idea is that basically, I hopefully the majority of you know what Star Trek is. And there is a computer that is available in the enterprise. You can speak from everywhere about anything, about doing almost anything. So this is the idea. So having an entity that you can reach immediately anywhere in your enterprise or in your house that actually can do things for you and can add value to your life very naturally. So, and this was actually this starting vision from this. And here, another quote from Walt Mossberg, speaking about ambient computing. This is exactly what I'm talking about here. So we're not here just to think about these devices. We're here thinking about Alexa, so about something that makes the devices disappear, that it becomes so natural that you actually interacted without even thinking that you're talking to a device, to a spot, to a tap, to a tablet, to anywhere. You will speak to the house, you will speak to the entity, you will speak with the intelligence that will do things for you. And how are we doing this in Amazon? Well, we're placing devices and enabling partners to place devices throughout the house. There is a cool feature, it's called Echo Spatial Perception. When there is multiple Alexa endpoints inside the house, you walk around and you speak with Alexa, and only the closest device to you will actually engage you. And it's harder to explain than actually to live it. But you basically walk throughout the house and the voice follows you. And it's you forget that actually that you're speaking with specific device and you go towards what Walt described as ambient computing. Now, we see voice will be everywhere. Is it already in a number of these places? Cars, for example. Number of car manufacturers super interested in actually getting us to talk with cars. In the kitchen, I love to cook, and a big Echo Show is in our kitchen and is used extensively. When our hands are dirty, you're doing something, you want a recipe, you want some entertainment, you want to entertain the kids that are around me all the time when I cook, and that's exactly what is being done. Or somewhere else in the house, just to have that experience of following you throughout the house. So what's in it for you? Why? I mean, these are entertaining, hopefully, to some extent for you. It's a Saturday morning. What is in it for you? Why should you pay attention to this? Because this is available to you. You don't need to invent voice. You don't need to know how voice is actually made to come out of this, how actually voice your voice gets to be understood by these devices. You don't need to know that. You actually can leverage all of this because we have two frameworks that are opened up to you, to everybody in the world. I use it as well. One is the Alexa Skills Kit, Ask, and the other one is the Alexa Voice Service, AVS. So these two frameworks enable you to leverage the power of Alexa without having to know the science behind it. So Alexa Skills Kit, which I directly represent for Europe from an evangelism point of view, allows you to create the equivalent of voice-first apps. So you make Alexa smarter. You create these skills. They're actually new skills that you teach Alexa via your contribution, via your code, via the way you configure. And there is a number of specific things that we'll see them later on. And then Alexa Voice Service, you can take Alexa and put it inside any of your product. Say this. Let's say if this product has a microphone, a speakerphone, and a connection, you're done. You can put Alexa into it with just a few lines of codes. This is super powerful. If you have an helmet that you want to make a bike helmet that is smart, that talks to you, that you can talk with, that maybe tells you, say, hey, watch out, there's some traffic. You're on your motorcycle, on your bike. Or if you want to make something else, wearable, a smart fridge, a smart anything, you can embed Alexa into it as long as they have a speakerphone, a microphone, and a connection. That's it. Now, skills. Let's talk a little bit about skills. There is some of the examples here that we have here in Europe. There is a number of sections. We have about 22 main categories in the world, and currently, I'll correct Ruhi, who mentioned about 20,000 skills. This week, we touched 25,000 skills. So this set of skills is expanding extremely rapidly, and you find anything. You find from meow sounds. Believe it or not, I'm extremely puzzled by this. One of the most engaging skills that people use is that cat sounds and meows. But there is also things like sleeping sounds or nature sounds or calling Uber or getting entertainment. See, I gotta stop talking with my hands. I'll try to put it behind my back. But there is a number of things. We see news, we see entertainment, smart home, informational, you name it. Really, 25,000 skills. There is a huge variety, and games, of course. Now, some of the examples. Ocado, this is a developer in the UK that actually, it's a great use case, well associated with kitchen use. There is some work that is being done in the UK around providing public sector information, in this case, vehicle inquiry for vehicle registration. There is EasyJet information, Domino Pizza, O2, and there is a huge number of smart home devices provider. Smart home is one of the top 3 use cases on Alexa. So we have information request, entertainment, and the smart home, not necessarily the skills, but smart home is enormous. Think about the immediacy of you're standing, it's been a long day of work, you're in your sofa, you want to turn off the light, you want to do something together, you want to, at the same time, put down the blinds, turn on the light, and put your TV on a specific channel. You can do all of that with voice. Not even have to pull out any devices from your pocket and go through a number of steps. You can do just that with voice. So these opportunities is very large. A number of partners, hundreds of partners are taking these opportunities, and you see some of them here. Speaking of AVS, just to give you some examples of what is being done, we got here Sonos, we got Ford, we got cell phone providers, and then one of my favorite that you see, the one on the top right there, the G, it's a light. So you speak and the light changes color while you speak and provides. It's extremely crafty and creative implementation of what you can do with Alexa. Some more ideas, you can put it into wearables, into tablets, into a number. Truly, your imagination is just the only limit. So that is super powerful, in my opinion. It democratizes access to voice scientists like never before. So you see, as I mentioned, that this is made possible by advancement in voice recognition. Speech recognition advances over time. We were making a joke, I don't remember exactly who asked the question earlier, but machines are not good in understanding ambiguous content. We are pretty good, some countries more than others. In Italy, we say one thing, we might mean 50 different things, or maybe in Poland as well. But the point is that human beings can disambiguate fairly easily. Machines can't. So we have to make sure that that is to be natural, that challenge is actually handled. So we see here some of the top 5 components, I would say, of the advancement in voice. ASR, automated speech recognition. So this is what is the user actually saying, is this noise or is this a human being speaking? And that's what it's made possible by ASR. NLP, once that is recognized as voice, what is the intent behind? What is actually the user telling me? Is it telling me to turn on the light? Is it asking me about Barack Obama? What is the intent? And then we all, or some of us are familiar with machine learning. Machine learning requires training sets. And the more we have access to, the more data, the better these machine learning sets become in actually training the model. The cloud. These so-called smart devices are usually pretty dumb. They don't have a lot of intelligence and computing power on board. If you think about sensors and actuators, they are super non-smart. They do need the power, the virtually unlimited power, computing power that a cloud offers, or virtually unlimited storage that cloud offers to actually operate at these scales. Think about all the number of requests that every single minute Alexa as a voice service might get from users, and then you start getting a sense for the scale. And then, of course, to wrap up everything, artificial intelligence and machine learning make all of this possible. Let's dive a little deeper into the Alexa voice service. This is, as I mentioned before, a cloud-based service that make available for you to embed Alexa into your product and super easy to integrate and free. So very important point. This is free to integrate. Now, there are some interesting, for those of you that are a little bit on the maker side or on the take things apart and break it and put it together, not necessarily in the order they were before, like I am, and I made peace with myself when I realized that breaking things was okay a long time ago. But the point here is that development kits for AVS, there is a number of them. They are sold in a number of locations online. You can buy them. So these are basically physical, ready-to-embed kits that have also sometimes far-field recognition. They can actually be leveraged inside your product, so you create something completely new. And you look them up. They're called development kits for AVS. You can also play, and there is a number of things out there, templates on GitHub with sketches and templates for Raspberry Pi to put Alexa in it. So pretty cool stuff. You need a microphone and a connection, and that's pretty much it. And of course, a Raspberry Pi or another other boards. Let's talk about the Alexa Skills Kit. So we start with a user making a request, as usual. So this audio, once the device is woken up with a wake word, is sent out to the cloud. In the Alexa service, sent this customer intent to your service. We don't send the raw audio. We send already a parsed string-based JSON intent to your service. Then you do what you need to do with that. You respond back with the text and visual, which is going to be in turn be given back to your user. All of this is done in half a second. So this is pretty fast. Of course, latency permitting, sometimes it might be a challenge, but all of this is done extremely fast. So it's very, very natural to do this. How many types of skills are there? There is a lot of types of skills. These are the 6 main ones. There is smart home skills. So you can design skills leveraging a smart home API. An API makes your life easier. There is a number of already case covered and use cases covered by this API that can be leveraged for your smart home skills. There is games. So this is 20% of the most engaging skills, games and trivia. There is a number of beautiful games. They make, for example, my own commute very I shouldn't say very, but a little bit less troublesome at time. Lately, I've been using one. It's called Yes Sire. Very simple, turn-based. You have to figure out how to basically run a kingdom. And it sounds very simple, but it's super engaging. You just actually want to play more and more and more. 20% of the most engaging skills are games. And flash briefing. Flash briefings are a little tidbit of content of audio content, and you can try out up there when we have at the first floor. There is a number of devices, and I'll be happy to answer your questions on this specific. There's a number of things that we can try out. Flash briefing skills, as long as you have an RSS feed, either audio or text, super simple. There is about 10-15 clicks that you do having you create a flash briefing skills, and you make it available to all the users after certification, or for your own usage in development immediately. I'll show it to you later. Custom skills. If you can think about it, if you can envision it, you can actually create it. This is a totally open field. You can pretty much implement whatever your backend can do. Video skills. There is video skills that you can, there is some devices that do have a video. There is the show, there is a spot, there is also the Fire TV or tablets, and you can create skills for that. Or specific rendered skills for the Echo Show. So possibilities abound. One more thing that we announced this week, it was a very, very eventful week in terms of devices and feature in the Alexa world, is a gadgets concept. So gadgets are new things, are new way of interacting, of bridging that divide and going into the physical world with buttons. So think about it. I don't know if you remember when I showed you the devices, there were 4 buttons that are colored. Those are very simple concepts, but you basically can leverage this gadget skill API for that and some other gadgets that will be coming to actually manage the responses that you're getting from your users, and also to send back responses and to manage the requests from your users, and then invent games or educational purposes skills and so on. Very powerful, a lot of opportunities there. Now, once your skill is actually made available, when your skill is actually live, how do we make available? Some of you familiar with the Amazon retail presence, we make available the skills category as a product category. If you see here, there is a drop down in the top left. This is a line of products equivalent, right? So you basically select that, you enter into a section of the website that is just about skills, and all the 25,000 are there. Your skill can be there as well, searchable on Amazon retail site, when obviously, depending on where you're going to create your skill, that is. Now, there's 2 parts in creating a skill. There is creating the configuration, the voice model that you do on our side. By our side, I mean the development Alexa side. And then there is the backend that can be hosted anywhere. So you can host it on, which we recommend, on AWS Lambda, for a number of reasons, and then you can host it on your endpoint. You can create your own web services and then just connect it to your skill this way. It's important to say a sort of a front end, a sort of a back end. The front end you develop into the Alexa side, and the back end however you prefer. Now let's quickly overview on the skeleton of what is forming a skill. We see here there is an invocation name. Tube status, for example. So you invoke, say, Alexa, open tube, give me this tube status. There is intents, the function. So what do you want actually to get from that? Then there is sample utterances. How many different ways can you ask the same question? A lot, usually. So the best practice here is to make as many of these options available to your users, because we do ask things in myself, and I work with this thing. I don't ask the same thing twice necessarily in exactly the same way. And then slots variable. So these are, you can think about in terms of, these are the attributes of the specific utterance, of the specific intent. And then the code and the logic that it will provide your functionalities. If you see similarly, another example, coffee now, order coffee, order me a small cappuccino. The slots would be the coffee size, the type, or the type of milk. Let's say that I want a grande soy latte with no foam. That's exactly what I want. And this is an example of how they would work. Now, there are several invocation types. There is what we call the one-shot. You do basically ask everything at once that you want to know. So, Alexa, ask Starbucks for triple grande soy latte. That is a one shot. You do everything in one. So you open the skill and you ask what you want, and your skill has to support that. We're conversational. So you are within the session, you converse with the skill, and your skill needs to be able to provide support for that. We're just opening all this. So let's say Alexa open CNN, or Alexa open Reuters, or Alexa open Yes Sire. Now, this is, hopefully this is not too hard to follow, but what the takeaway here is that there is intents. You define this intents for your voice app. And there are slots. The slots that I meant before, these are the attributes for your intent. In this case, we see that we have two of these slots, and there is also built-in slots that are usable. And now there is also the new skill builder, which is still in beta, but is very, very easy to select. A very one-shot view with all the pieces of your skill that needs to be actually leveraged. Some of the possible utterances, as I mentioned before, look how many ways, and this is just a small fraction, your users will find very creative ways of actually asking the same thing. Custom slots, this will be the way that you serve the attributes for your intent. Again, and one more thing, one more best practice, as many possible slots as you can. And viewing backwards, going up one level again. So invocation name, Alexa, Echo, or computer, or Amazon, whichever you prefer. There is an invocation word. There is an invocation name, Coffee Now. This is the name of your skill. This is the invocation name of your skill. Then there is an intent, order, and then there's various slots. And then please, that's what I personally use. Now, three types of requests that your skill needs to be supporting. And don't worry, some of the slides will be made available to you later on as a reference. But launch request, intent request, and session-ended request. So there is a number of requests that your user, that your skill needs to be supporting. And some are pre-built, some you have to keep inside the skills, and then some you will be addressing. Again, going into components of a skill, invocation name, in this case, tube status, you're gonna provide your users a way of telling Alexa what they want. Then you get the specifics of the intent of what they want out of your skill. And then there is the sample utterances that you have to provide. There is a slots variable. There is on the these are the yellow words. These are the specific. If you think conversationally, those are the slots that you have to fill from your request. And then finally, wrapping it all together, your backend code needs to be mapped. And I just want to spend the 30 seconds here on, and probably Juliana will do that the same. But AWS Lambda is a perfect match for skills. There is a number of things that make your life easier when using AWS Lambda. If you think about it, just all this, the permission and the security system is going to be handled for you by AWS IAM, which is the Identity Access Management. Everything is integrated with skills. So you define a lot of that just by one click. If you don't do that, your customized and personalized web service will have to take care of that. We'll have to manage certificates and a number of other things. So there is some consideration there. There is a blog coming up on exactly the benefits of using AWS Lambda from a skill. Should be coming up in a few days. Now, the tools. This is just a screenshot of the beta skill builder. Very, very powerful. Actually, it makes our life easier. We can also still use the old editor, for example, which was a little bit more code-based, or as recently, there is a command line interface, super powerful, not the right tool for every person or every situation, but it's nice to have a very quick way to programmatically create and clone and test and estimate loads on skills and so on. Now, I wanted to show you some of the key designs principles for designing a skill. Provide a high value. Don't go in providing information that the user will not want. Don't try to just figure out what a skill should have unless you put it in terms of what the customer will mean or will need by high value. So skills also should evolve. They're not one point in time. They should actually keep having features like apps, basically. And users will need to be able to speak to your skill naturally. Rohit, as mentioned earlier, some of the considerations that we're going through, we're always trying to make even the invocation names simpler. Sometimes invocation names for skill can be really a mouthful. Alexa, ask tube status to give me the line on the status online on the circle line. If you think about it, that's a pretty big one if you want to have one shot. So we're also working in making things a little bit more transparent. So let's say, Alexa, what's the tube status? And then even if Alexa doesn't know, built in, she can transfer this request to a skill. So there is a number of ways that we're trying to make this as natural as possible. And then Alexa, this is an obvious one, this is a duism, should really understand the most of the request. And then the skill should respond in the appropriate way. What I do advise all the time is that run your voice user interface design, which is the big part of your skill creation, as a dialogue. Take two people and start speaking this. It's like a role-based role play. You do interact between two human beings, and if you feel silly, if it doesn't feel natural, that's probably it's not a good skill to begin with from a design point of view. Crawl, walk, and run. So identify, start small, MVP, what is your core thing that you want to do. Traffic skill example, for example, will give what is the traffic between point A or point B. Then later on, the second version, you can add additional information. What is the traffic? What is the accident, for example? And then you get to your moonshot or what you believe is the ultimate delighters for your users. You have notification in real time, for example. You have a proactive system of notification. Here, this is it's very busy slide, but it's very, very, very useful. This will tell you, by our experience of dealing with thousands of skills, what actually works better. So I was in a meeting recently where somebody was suggesting of having a product information skill. And that sounded great for this specific retailer, but what is the value? I mean, if I want an information about a product, I will ask about the specific products. I don't want the equivalent of a mail leaflet. I don't want the equivalent of advertisement. I want something on the left side. I want something that does something for me. I want to get value. I want to perform a task. That is what I want to do. I want to be able to ask something very simple. Alexa, turn off my light. Or Alexa, prepare the good night routine. Or Alexa, change channel. Or Alexa, do something for me. These are the ones that high value in the spectrum. Now, additional now principles for making a skill. Quick responses. Focus on something that is immediate. Question, answer, boom, done. Then simple. Be simple, meaning that, again, start small and then get more complete later on during the day, later on during the life cycle of the skill. And then, if you want, just discreetly suggest that there is more. Do not go and outline everything that can be done with the skill, because that becomes a litany of options and the user get bored. We all get bored. Think about now, if a page doesn't load in 3 seconds, the first thing you think on a web browser, there is something wrong with that site. 3 seconds. With voice, it's even less. So if there is some information that you do not require, you get bored at light speed. So keep it simple, but discreetly suggest. And then, if you do it right, you're making Alexa smarter every day. Remember, this is something that learns. This is something that gets better over time. Now, there's a cool feature that has been created not too long ago. There is a beta testing that you can actually do. So you have a number of options to send out your skill for beta testing before it gets actually live. So super useful. The more people you get to use it, and the better the skill is going to get. Now, these are some of the, this is intended to be sort of a lighter side of my presentation. I'm turning down to the end. This is, when things are done well, this is a delighter. This is something that actually brings smiles. Every morning, the first thing I do after turning on my car is that actually it's using this device and getting what's news. So I get my news. And the first news I have is actually something called The Tonight Show. And I just love it. And it's a delighter for me. Very simple, 3 minutes, it starts my day with a laugh. But there is also a component here. There is a component that is not necessarily just entertainment. Read a quote here, if you can, from June 2017, from Elizabeth that works at MIT. So there is an enormous opportunity here to provide services for physically impaired human beings. You can do things here. You can think about visually impaired people. Think about heart or hear impaired people that you can assist. You can actually have building, function, companionship, and so on. Super powerful. Now, I have the last video.
Alexa, kitchen TV on.
Okay.
Alexa, open Sylvia's garage door. Yes, I named my car Sylvia.
Turn off the living room windows.
Alexa, I'm cold.
Your nest is now set to 84.
Alexa, turn on the holiday spirit.
Okay.
Turn on pool deck lights.
Turn on garden lights.
Turn on office fan.
Alexa, turn on coffee maker.
Alexa, ask my house to turn on the vacuum cleaner.
Alexa, pitch ball.
Mix me a Negroni.
Alexa, satellite off.
Bam.
Bam. So these are real customer videos that were sent to Amazon. So people are doing these things, and you will see some of the things that Julianne is going to show you. Brilliant, brilliant. Your fantasy is just the imagination here. So, and then I'm going to leave you with some reference here. Super easy to start. You can write a skill in 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. There is templates out there that are going to show you exactly some of the things that I showed you. Super easy. If you search for writing a skill, an Alexa skills in 5 minutes, you will find there is a nice examples out there. And then we have a ton of templates for each one of the skills type that you want to create. We have templates to assist you, and there is free training as well. This is a new thing, Code Academy, super cool and super free. If you build things that are advancing, or they are supposed to advance the Alexa ecosystem, to advance voice, there is money for you. There is the Alexa Fund. So there is a whole team that works actually on financing new partners and startups that focus on getting Alexa better in a number of ways. So search for the Alexa Fund as well. There might be some opportunities for you. So sorry I went a little bit long, about 5 minutes. I thank you very much. I enjoyed speaking with you today, and I bid you a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thanks, Max. We are open for questions if you have any. So.
Hi.
Hi.
What are the ways for monetizing my skill?
Good question, yes. So we do realize that, hold on, there is a little fly. So we do realize, and thank you for not asking a suicide question, I appreciate it. We always look at what's important for developers. I'm a developer myself, and I do understand that this is all nice and cool, but how do I actually monetize this? We're looking at ways, we're looking at expanding. We currently have 7 categories of skills that the most engaging of which get actually some reward and some compensation system. But we fully understand that this is something very important, and we're working on it. Other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering about children, small children. Are they able to use this, Alexa?
Oh, I love this question. So, Rafal, you got to give me a minute here. So, I got 3 kids. So, the first time I brought Alexa into my house was via an Echo device. So I brought this thing. My oldest one was 5 at the time. And of course, they started asking about Frozen songs. They like over and over and over and over. And I kept saying, Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Then they started with the fart jokes. And they loved it. I don't know what's about that one. And I say, stop. And I say, stop. And they loved it. They loved it. After half an hour, my oldest one comes in and says, Dad, do you think she's okay? Because you said stop a little bit too harsh. That's the way that kids immediately related to this. So the anthropomorphic identification that they made, it was immediate. They didn't even think about it. They thought it was an entity, right? So, and I'm sorry if I digress. I just had to share this because I think it tells you, it speaks volume. But with regards of kids, we take, I'm a parent, obviously, and we take kids' time and attention and safeguard extremely seriously at Amazon. So it took a while for us just to get this right, but we just started opening up kids' skills in the US and also around. We wanted to do this right. We wanted to do it in an informative way for parents. We wanted to do it in a way that parents retain control. Parents right now need to actually give an authorization in the settings to actually enable kids' skills. But don't get me wrong. I mean, kids are enthralled. They're super excited about this. There is a number of opportunities there. Again, from a point of view of developing, of entertaining the possibility of building on opportunities, there is a huge number of things. And there is also new things that are coming out all the time from Amazon that will make even this even more open, even more opportunity to create content for skills. Think about bedtime stories. I mean, sometimes it doesn't feel correct to have somebody that is going to be your substitute necessarily for a bedtime story, but there is power there. There is a new relationship that children can have with machines. This is a new generation. We got to embrace it. There's nothing about that. I think we have time for another question. I'll take one of this side.
The last one.
Yes.
To the machine, and how do you keep this model and update the model of the other person? So maybe from the beginning. If I talk to you,
yes,
I know you, you know me, and we have some kind of the profile, and we know each other to better understand. So in this tool, how do you keep this profile of the person who is talking to Alexa, that for future reference, if you say, I want something, Alexa will immediately understand what do you want.
So let me make sure that I understand the question. So you're asking how do we maintain
model of
personalization with regards to, so you're talking, so taking a step back, each one of these devices, for example, is registered into my account ID. So this is, I have several because I work with this, but let's say that I have only one, I'm a customer. So this device, even if it's used by my wife, by my kids, will be referred to internally as part of my account, okay, my Amazon account. The way that we save, for example, what is being said is that we save all the utterances that are recognized as being utterances, but we also give control to the user. So let's say, for example, my kid said something silly that I don't want to have there, or I don't feel like maybe I don't want Amazon to maintain that specific string. I have the opportunity of going into the app and deleting the string, for example. But all of those strings are at what exact, I hope if I understood your question correctly, are exactly what allows Alexa to understand me better and better and better.
Kiedy patrzysz w otchłań patrzy w ciebie i w związku z tym.
Well, we would need to switch to English. Sorry about that, because
so if you
Max
are,
wanted to get the question.
I thought it was me, but
I think
okay.
it will be difficult. Maybe somebody will help.
Yeah,
me.
I think I got your question. So I think that the short answer to that is that the Alexa is, as Max mentioned, Alexa is working on the interaction it has with the end user, and it's, let's say, constantly learning the patterns of the recognition, and also the speech recognition. So, for example, when I'm starting to interact with Alexa, my English obviously is not, let's say, I'm not a native speaker, so it needs to adapt to my way of speaking and understand me better and better. So it learns and grows with my interaction. Okay, let's stop here.
We stop here, or we do?
Let's take the last one. I promise the last one. I was almost there. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
Would be short one. You showed us a slide with crawl, walk, run, and traffic example. Does Alexa or Echo devices have any kind of location like GPS? You also, this is my question. You also said that you drive with one of these Echo devices in car and play games. Does this device know your location on the street or in the city?
So you're asking basically if a device will know where I am located while I'm speaking with it. So let's say that this specific device will not. So this specific device will just interact with me in the car. So, but why don't you build that, for example? Why don't you build an AVS enabled device actually that would do that? That's the point, right? So at Amazon, we're not doing all the possible devices that can be done. Actually, the opposite. We opened up the platform so that all of you can come up with this. You want to create something that is actually location aware, maybe for hiking. Maybe you want to, somebody's free climbing. Just a thought about this one. Somebody's free climbing has an Alexa-enabled device from AVS right now, and obviously the hands are kind of taken. So you can speak with that, and you can have a location awareness built into that one. Okay, thank you very much again. It's been a fantastic pleasure. If you have questions, come and pick me up. Thanks.